Welcome to the Owners Club podcast, the show where we open the doors to real conversation with real business owners. I'm your host, Sean Ziari.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Where
Nice.
are you right now?
I am in my home office in northern Minnesota.
Okay.
Sir.
How's your day been going so far? Ready to do this, Owners Club?
I am. I got to tell you, I love the idea and I love that you're executing on it. You actually inspired me. You and who was the other one that Pace was talking about? It was Kathy Saunders. But I was like, I need to get my butt in gear with this podcast thing. So I started getting my outline and started making a list of people and just so anyways, great job on that. That's exciting.
Well,
That's
I appreciate it. You were there in Monterey. I just looked at a room full of people and I have had it in my mind to do it. I sent an email earlier in the week. It's like, man, I got to do this. I got to get to know, as Pace says, everything you need is in this room. So,
yes, 100%.
tell me about you. Tell me where was young Karl from and how did you get here? And kind of tell me your story.
Yeah, no. So again, thank you for having me on. I'm originally from Minnesota, and my mom was a social worker, my dad was a pastor. So, needless to say, we didn't come from a family, my brothers and I didn't come from a background of extraordinary wealth or big grand things, but I was taught the right things. I was taught values. I was taught work ethic. I was taught family first and a lot of the really good values. So I feel like they gave me a very good foundation. I'm so grateful for my parents for that. But I was an athlete my whole life, all the way up through college, played college hockey. And yeah, when I realized I wasn't going to play in the NHL, I was like, what else am I going to do with my life at this point? Right. So, long story short, I got into, I got into business right out of college, having no experience, no formal education in it, which was probably the best thing and also the most challenging thing for me. I mean, Sean, it was about a year and a half in, it got so bad where I didn't even realize I needed to pay taxes on the money I was making. I mean, that's where I was
I
at.
laugh, but I can relate. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, I'm an adult now. That's what that is, right? And I remember I was a year and a half in, and I was struggling with my first startup. It was a brick and mortar smoothie location, right? I'm in Herbalife. It's a network marketing company that distributes health and wellness products. And so I had my first storefront, and we were doing okay, but like I was trying to figure it out. And I remember I logged into my bank account. It was like 6 o'clock at night, and I was, had no sleep for the last 6 months and completely stressed out. And I had like $1,000 in my bank account, and I logged in, and it literally said like zero, and then the line item said levied, and I was like,
What?
yeah. I was like, what? I had no idea what that meant, and I freaked out. And that was kind of the rock bottom. And I was like, I have like $2,000 in payments in the next 2 days I have to make. And so I was like, I can either sit here and sulk or I can get my butt moving. And so I got moving and I went out the door and got a bunch of new clients, made the $2,000 plus some in the next 2 days, paid my bills, and just was like, I gotta get better. So that was an interesting moment for me, right? A huge like shifting moment in my entrepreneurial journey. And I got a tax attorney or a CPA at that point too to help me. He's like,
Smart.
buddy, you're way behind. But anyways, long story short, yeah, so I cut my teeth in Herbalife, in the network marketing industry. My wife and I grew and scaled a company organization there. So we learned public speaking, we learned leadership, we learned running teams, we learned running promotions, running retreats, operations. I mean, all the stuff. And so that was a really fun experience. We worked our bag off for a decade plus, 60, 70 hour weeks nonstop, grew a family in the process. But overall, it was, the most rewarding experience that I've had from a professional standpoint, right? So it was very cool. And now it's really focused on taking those skill sets and applying them to the real estate world.
Very interesting. So, a pastor dad,
Hmm.
a hockey playing physics major, I believe,
Yeah, physics major. Yeah.
decides to be entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Year and a half into it, he hits rock bottom. That's
Yeah.
a pretty interesting story. I want to hear more about that. What was the biggest takeaway from looking back? What year was this when that happened where you're accountable?
Yeah. I started in 2010 is when
Okay.
I got out of college.
What
Um,
was the biggest thing you've learned since 2010? The
yeah.
entrepreneurship topic.
Actually, it's funny. I don't know if you've had this experience, but it's like when you look backwards after everything that's happened, and everyone's got a story and everyone's got a journey, but the lessons that you learn have so much more depth as years go on. And so, what's really sunk in with me, and this is actually coming from Owners Club that you're in with me, we're in together, and from Pace, is that relationships are everything,
Mhm.
right? And I tried to do so much on my own. And, when my wife and I were growing our business, um, we both did speaking, we both did training. I was better at the small group training, and
Mhm.
she could do that, but she also was very good at the big stage, in front of 300, 400,000, like huge rooms of people. And I was always so focused on operations. I was like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I think I undervalued relationships like I should have,
Mhm.
because I was so operationally focused. And that's really been my biggest lesson is like you just said, everything that we need, right, is in our owners club group and in our network. And so that was definitely the biggest takeaway for me, probably from my overall journey. There's been a lot, right? Like there's been a lot, but that was probably the one that's sunk in the most in the last few years for sure.
Speaking of relationship in the owners club, who's the owner club member that you work the closest with? One or two people that you like to give a shout out and mention.
Yeah, right now I'm working with Kyle Kargis. What up, Kyle?
Hello, Kyle,
Yeah, he's my
the man with the hat.
yeah, he's one of my guys in Phoenix that I'm working with on the co-living deals. We're building a portfolio in Phoenix. So he's got a ton of experience. He was doing creative finance for a decade before Pace really launched Sub 2. So he's been around the block with it, which is really fun. I was going to say Kyle's been the main one for sure. And then I'm starting to build other partnerships right now in Owners Club from a capital side, from a multifamily side. But he's kind of the main one I'm working with from a co-living standpoint. Yeah.
Very nice. So,
Yeah.
and if there was one person in the owners club that you saw in Monterey or this past year and a half that you have not worked with, who would that person be?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the guys in my pod that I'm leading, Jesse Stanton, he was all, I don't know if you saw him, he was all set up in the lobby. He's a business coach, business consultant, and, doing a lot of the branding stuff. And I think he's a little bit further along than I am from that standpoint. He's definitely one of them. There's a lot of capital raisers that I want to build, like Michael Manazzicani. He's got a really big network of super investors, of people that he's helping to deploy funds into deals. I'd at some point love to have my own network, that I'm working on right now of just of people that, can deploy funds. So in other words, so capital is never a pinch point, right? But capital is not a pinch point. You just need the relationships. This is what I'm working on building right now.
Back to the having the person instead of what you said earlier. Yeah, the person is the important part.
Correct. And you and I need to talk more about that stuff too. You got your capital business, right? And I'm working on multifamily co-living, and we can probably dive into that a little bit. Um, Man, who else? There's just a bunch of people, just a bunch of ninjas I've met. Another gal I talked to, Alyssa Ritchie, who's killing it with the Elite Hub. And she's got all these different divisions in her company, and she did like 60 million in closed business last year with her business.
Nice.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, I think the people in that group are just phenomenal. I mean, Justin Tumanowski, he's a common name in the Owners Club. I'd love to partner with him in some of the microfamily stuff he's doing because I'm, doing multifamily too. So there's just so many people that are phenomenal human beings and business people in the Owners Club. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. I love the names you mentioned, and hopefully, if they're listening, they can reach out to Karl and want to do work with Karl as well. Karl, do you want to share a number, phone number that they can reach, or a way for them to reach you? Email, phone number. What would you? How would you like people to reach you?
Yeah, email's great. Karl, which Karl at multiuniticome.com.
Okay. We'll have that printed at the bottom.
I have two boys. Yep. So we're just boys in our family. And for some reason, that's just kind of how it worked out, which is great. But yeah, hockey's big in Minnesota. So we're a big hockey family, which is not for the faint of heart, right? The travel, the expenses of hockey, but I played hockey for 25 years and it's an amazing sport. I just feel like you learn so much from athletics, right? Of like
So
learn how to
true.
push past your limits, how to be a teammate, how to be a leader, how to get feedback, how to all the things, right? It's pretty great. Pace was talking about golf a little more detailed and like you never have the same shot ever on any like in your entire life. And I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, golf. And I'm a lot more patient now, right? Like being a
Mhm.
little bit further down the line in my life versus when I was in my 20s. And I'm like, golf is a good sport. It's like such a mental game, so challenging. Because it's like the first few holes in Pebble Beach, I like parred. I was like, this is amazing.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm like, I'm crushing it like straight irons are going straight, right on the green, putting well, and then
Mhm.
next four holes is like triple bogey, double bogey. It's like wheels fell
Yeah.
off. What? Like what just happened? How can I go from? I don't understand. So yeah, it's a mental screwdriver. I think golf is, but
Yeah.
it's good.
I love that course of yeah, 4 and 5 that you're getting close to the water. The wind picked up and it was like, well, I
Uh-huh.
didn't get to play. I really was looking forward to playing golf and I was hoping to be on your team. But doctor said no golf, doctors ruin everything.
Yeah. Well,
No,
sure.
sorry, honey. If you're listening, my wife, no, doctors are wonderful.
Doctors are great. Doctors save
Doctors
lives,
are great. Doctors are great. Keep telling myself.
right?
Being an entrepreneur and managing your money and how do you take ownership? I think that's a difficulty for a lot of entrepreneurs is, the money management because a W-2 is, that check is coming, right?
Yes.
So talk to me more about ownership of the money.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I feel like you're exactly right. It's a big hurdle for people. And especially for entrepreneurs, because we get so focused on our business and business is all consuming, right? It'll take
Mhm.
everything you give it plus some. So you really have to find that balance of like, what am I willing to give up to build this thing, in the hopes of building it well and creating what I want with it, uh, without, losing my entire life to it. Because that can happen.
Mhm.
I've done that and it's not fun. And then at some point, your body will shut you down because you haven't slept and now you're sick. And I had a few of those where it's like the kill switch hit, and I like
Mhm.
couldn't move for a week, um, which is not advisable. But from the money standpoint, it's hard for entrepreneurs because we are so invested in the business, and that also means in our minds we don't have time to learn about and really shepherd our own wealth, right?
Mhm.
And there is kind of there's kind of different phases, right? The first phase, like when you're really getting up and running, you do have to give it all. You shouldn't be like managing, let's say you're in your first few years and you're making maybe a full-time income of what you were at your W-2. Like
Mhm.
if you take 20 hours a week to learn how to manage your portfolio while you're just like that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense in my mind. I think the first step is you have to build a really strong, large active income from your work ethic. Okay,
Mhm.
let's just say you check that box. Maybe it takes you 5, 7, 10 years. Now you have excess cash every month and it's just building up in your bank account, building up. Then you have another problem, right? Another problem, a growth opportunity is like, what do I do with this? You're not going to leave it in the bank because your bank takes that and loans that out and makes money on your money and basically gives you no interest. And it's not even guaranteed, really. Like the whole banking system, that's a whole nother conversation. So I don't want to leave in my bank. I want to leave as little as possible in the bank for operating expenses, and that's basically it. But where do I store it and how do I break it up? And so for me, I started taking that journey and oh, we would have been about 8, 9 years into the business and we were still working like crazy. And so I was dedicating 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night to like, what do we do with this thing? Right? What do we do with this money that's coming in? Because if you don't do anything with it, you also get hit with huge tax bills, which I was now affectionately calling the stupid tax. Like I
Mhm.
was being stupid and not learning ways to be more tax efficient with my money.
Mhm.
And So anyways, I started going down that journey and it opens up so much. And yes, it's a grind. And yes, sometimes it takes everything you have to be able to like open up space in your calendar to learn, but I do think it's very important.
Hmm.
So, and you can comment on your perspective on the Sean, but from my perspective is I first started giving it to advisors and they basically take their cut and then just throw it into some index funds and throw it into some mutual funds, which have high fees. And basically, they don't really grow your wealth. So I was like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore because that doesn't make sense. But if I take control, then I need to take control and I need to be responsible. So what am I going to do with it? And so for me, I really landed on a few different asset classes. I wanted my money to grow faster than traditional qualified accounts, and I wanted to be tax advantaged. And so I landed on some alternative asset classes, which I studied and learned about for a few years, made small investments over time into Bitcoin and some cryptocurrencies. And then I also stacked that with real estate because real estate is a very tax advantage way to grow your wealth long term, right? And so, and I also do whole life insurance. So I kind of combine the three. So we got some safety nets, we have some aggressive alternative plays that can outpace normal qualified accounts, and also some tax advantage ways to invest your money with real estate. So I've kind of like layered all three.
Hmm.
The thing is, and that's just me, and that's my equation, what I've done, and
Yeah.
everyone's going to have different risk tolerances. Everyone's going to have different preferences, different things that they are interested in. And that's all great and dandy, but I do want to encourage people like taking control of your money and learning. And sometimes, like when we're talking about real estate, right? That's what we are both involved in. That can even be partnering with people. So for example, if I was a doctor and I was making 300,000 a year and I'm starting to learn how to invest my money, it's a journey, it's a process. It doesn't happen in 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. So just like how we create partnerships in real estate, right? You can create partnerships as a private money lender and you can partner with an operator, partner with someone who can deploy your funds, like Sean, like me, like other people in the owners club, and they can put it to work for you. And you're going to be taken along that journey and learning about real estate and how it can be so advantageous.
Hmm.
That's really what I want to encourage people to do is look at ways you can partner with people to start learning new ways to have your money grow faster than just sticking it in the index fund. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, Sean. But that's kind of where it landed for me, and that was my background in it. And it took years, right? I've been on that
Yeah.
journey now for 7, 8 years, and I mean, my portfolio has it's gone 4 or 5x up in the last 7, 8 years, way more than if I would have just stuck into an index fund. Now I've lost money too, but overall net I'm way up.
Yeah.
Right. So
The,
what's your take on that?
well, going backwards to what you said, you cannot have reward if you don't have risk. They're the opposite side of a same coin. If you want more reward, you got to do some riskier things. Now, be smart and, diversify in really safe assets if you want to do bonds and stuff, but that's the basic. But really, to grow your money, you got to take some risk. You got to put your money there doing things like real estate or whatever else. So it's a wonderful asset class if you know how to use it with anything, right?
Right.
People ask me for real estate or financial advice because I was a financial advisor for a while. And I give them the attorney answer, which is, well, that depends.
Depends.
Is this
Yeah.
a good investment? Well, that depends. What does your portfolio look like? If you're all in bonds, then I'm going to say, yeah, you should do a fix and flip and put all your money in because that's a very risky, if you don't know what you're doing and bond. So it's all depends. Everything is depends. So that's what I would tell them.
I love that.
What are some of the people or some of the books you read that helped you with this, managing your money and minding your money? Were there anyone or in particular you want to talk about?
Yeah, I can give a few shout outs. You may or may not have heard of them, but what I've always done is I've always searched. I'm always a searcher. Like if there's something I want to learn about, I'm like, okay, I'm looking, I'm reading, I'm looking books, looking for podcasts. And so when I was on this journey, that's exactly what I did. And I found a few key people.
Hmm.
One of which was Mike Dillard. He's a personal friend, amazing entrepreneur, and now he's an amazing investor across real estate, cryptocurrencies, across uh, private equity, a whole bunch of things. Tika Tawari was a big one for me, who was strictly. He used to be on Wall Street as an advisor, and now he's helping Main Street. I'm on his newsletter. So I'll sign up for a lot of people's newsletters and just learn from them and then apply, right? Learn from them and apply. And so Tika Tawari's been a big one for me from a crypto standpoint. Dillard, AJ Osborne, just from general real estate. Obviously, Pace Morby, Jamil Damji, all of our people in our community. And I'm learning actively every day still. My
Of
depth
course.
of real estate is getting better and better because of our community, right? Because of like, I can log into our community Discord channel and like do deal reviews with people and just continually learning every single day. But those are some big, I think those are some big players for me in the beginning that helped me like shift my mindset around it from a tactical standpoint. I think mindset wise, probably the book that a lot of people know about, but really shifted my thinking was The Cash Flow Quadrant by Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad by
Yeah.
Kiyosaki.
The S and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
SEI, and what was the third one? Fourth one?
Yeah, B and
Yeah.
I, right? B is
Yeah,
big
I
business.
read that many years ago, and that stuck with me. Absolutely. Go
Yeah, and
on.
I was like, oh, on the self-employment side, they work a ton and control minimal money. On the other side, they control all the money and
Mhm.
work minimal. I was like, I want to be over there.
How do I
How do I
get
do that?
there? Yeah.
Exactly. Um, yeah, so those have been a few people for me, I guess, that have really helped in the process. Yeah. Have you had?
Anybody in the owners club that have read that book and have the same mindset and think the same way about money management as you do?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm starting to talk to Dustin about stuff like that, Dustin Grigowski, and then there's a few other people. But usually when we're meeting up at like we just had a retreat in Monterey, a week ago, end of June here. I mean, it's so real estate focused. Obviously, it's just deals. Like, what are you working on? How can I help you? How can you
Mhm.
help me? Um, so we hadn't had a ton of conversations expanding into the bigger picture because it's just so hyper focused on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am passionate about it and helping people that are entrepreneurs like me and successful business people like me that are maybe just starting their journey and helping them to deploy funds depending on how long they want their money tied up. Like, do they want it tied up for 3 to 6 months and like have a shorter churn rate? Or are they okay with higher returns? Are they okay with a little bit longer hold times, maybe 1 to 3 years?
Hmm.
With maybe a mid-teen return rate or long-term, for like super safe, consistent income with like a larger multifamily asset. So depending on the investor's risk profile and hold times and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm really excited about helping people with that and shorting their learning curve, right? And not
Yeah.
having to do what I did, learning from 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night for years and years and years, studying, losing money, making some money, losing money, making some money. Like, it's a process.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. One of the things we do at the Owners Club, which helps us to kind of focus on our needs, is the Mount Everest. And most guys and gals have it memorized. But do you want to share what your Mount Everest is and what are you working for in the next 5 years?
Yeah, no, for sure. Great question. And I'd love to hear yours too, if you're willing to share, or if
At
you want
your
to do it on my
podcast.
podcast.
You knew the answer was going to be nope, I'm not going to talk
Throw it out
today.
there. Uh, yeah, so my Mount Everest is acquire 2,500 units in the next by 2030. That produces $250,000 per month in income and produces a multi nine-figure portfolio. And that's where it used to sit, right? Because my whole thing is like, if I want to give to charity, if I want to do more startups, if I want to help families, it all comes down to your resources, right? Your relationships,
Mhm.
the money you have. And money is obviously a big piece of it. So that's why they're really high goals for me. And recently, my wife and I, oh, let me back up. My wife and I have always said, we don't just want to donate money to charity just because it's some random charity, right? We want to be connected to it. We want to like feel like we're having an impact, feel the stories. And so in a roundabout way, um, we're going to be fulfilling that need, but with a business we started, which was called Lake Academy. And so I think it's interesting, Sean. But in the last 6 to 10 years, there's been a big movement of people that are starting to unplug from the traditional education system, right? Because with all of this new software platforms, technology available, people want to travel more, especially since COVID and it opened up the whole remote working thing. People are like, why can't we do that with our kids? And so we were in the kind of the same boat. And then in our hometown right now, we were plugging into the education system that was available. And then we were just like, you know what? They're not in alignment with our values. They're great, all great people, but we're just not lined up exactly. So we finally said, you know what? We're going to start our own. And that was in June of 2023. And we didn't know anything about like nothing spectacular about education other than we wanted another option. And so from June to September, we went on this crazy tear. It was like the craziest summer I've had in a long time, of going from nothing to finding a property, acquiring the property, finding curriculum, figuring out what that is, marketing to teachers, hiring a teacher. I mean, marketing to families, getting the website, like getting a whole startup from 0 to 100 in like 2.5 months. It was bonkers. And we ended up getting this beautiful property on 20 acres in the countryside, that we bought 100% creatively, which props to Pace. We started with 7 kids, across 4 families, and that was in the fall of 2023. So now fast forward, we just finished our second full year. We have 23 kids in Lake Academy, and coming this fall, we're going to have about 40 kids enrolled. It's a private school, and it's been amazing to see when you basically give a child, you remove restraints, you remove boxes, you remove these like mental chains per se, how much confidence they have and what they can think about. I just shared a video on Instagram yesterday, Sean, or maybe it was 2 days ago. I was asking my son, my 7-year-old son, I was like, "Hey, buddy, what are you working on?" Just random question. He's like, "Actually, Dad, I got a business I want to start." I was like, "You do?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's called GV's." I go, "What's GV's?" He's like, "Well, I have the logo all figured out in my head. I'm going to sell mountain bikes for people, and it's going to be great." And I was like, "You're going to sell mountain bikes? Amazing. Like, what's that going to do for people?" He's like, "Well, what that's going to do for people is it's going to allow them to get outside and be active and go on more adventures." And I was like, "You're
Okay.
7." And he's like, "I'm going to hire someone to help me run it, and it's going to be great." And I was like, "What? You're 7,
Amazing.
thinking about employee structures and starting a business and designing his freedom," basically is what he's doing.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't start thinking about that till I was 25. And then I had to go on a 10-year journey of disassembling all the mental frameworks I was programmed with to like get to
Right.
base again. Right. And I'm just like, so anyways, that's just a quick story of like, that's all from Lake Academy and the environment we've created there. And so my wife and I have a mission of expanding it and opening up more locations and going nationwide. And it's a long-term legacy project, but we want to get involved in that. And so really going back to the Everest, long story, going back to the Everest, is the Everest really exists to live a good life, obviously have freedom, but to help us do that project, to help make more impacts with more kids, to open up more locations, to be able to service more kids. And I just think entrepreneurs are the solution. Like they solve problems. And if they learn at a young age not to have limiting beliefs and they aren't put in a mental box, they can create whatever they want to help people. And I think that's really going to be a legacy project for my wife and I long term.
Yeah. For those who are listening or watching this, how would they find out more about Lakeside Academy and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, no, you can go follow us on Instagram at Lake Academy GR, um, which stands for Grand Rapids, which is our hometown in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay.
Or they can lakeacademy.school is the website. And we have all the information on there and videos and photos and pictures. And you can kind of see our property and what we're working on and our philosophies around education and how we've set it up. It's like if you would take Montessori with entrepreneurial based uh, philosophies and kind of smash them together in a
Hmm.
in a create your own journey type of way. Like we don't have teachers at the school, Sean. We have guides. Guides are people that help kids, guide them along their educational journey, along their journey to kind of self-discovery and what their superpowers are at. So yeah.
Hmm. That's fantastic. Now, does Lake Academy have a nonprofit fund that if somebody wants to contribute, a couple of thousand millions dollars to for this project, how would we give you money or give
Yeah,
the school money?
we're working on setting that up as we speak, and we are starting to put together like a fund where people can invest to help us expand, and then they can see their money, and then we're gonna have obviously like stories from parents and stories from kids, and we'll be sharing all of it so they can see the impact they're making with their money, and as more locations open up. Um, so yeah, we're just starting to put that together. It's been 2 years. We're growing like crazy. We're actually getting families to relocate from like 2 to 3 hours away to come and live in our community just to come to Lake Academy, which is bonkers.
Well, then like, think about the impact you're having. That's amazing that a family decides to get up and move closer to Lakeside Academy.
Yeah,
Wow, Carl, that's freaking amazing. What you and Brooke are doing are just amazing.
thank
I can't
you.
think of it. I think I've said amazing a few times. So,
No, we're excited about it, and it really just and we've seen it in our nephews' lives. We've seen it in our sons' lives. We've seen it. It's almost funny now. I walk around my house, and I'm like, it's like I'm not the king of my house anymore. It's like my sons are like, "Hey, Dad, let's go. I need this. Here we go. Come on, I need help over here. Like, let's go, Dad. Come on, let's go." I'm just
how would I go about reaching out to you?
Yeah, great question. So they can go to karlglarson.com. It's Carl with a K, Larson with an EN, karlglarson.com to learn more. Right now and they can email me, right? Carl at multiunitincome.com, and we can get the conversation started. If they are interested, we have an investor intake form, obviously, where they kind of fill out their preferences. I've a bunch of questions that kind of help them clarify what they want to get out of putting their money to work. But in the short term, next 12 months, per your question, Kyle and I are working on building a portfolio of co-living properties in Phoenix, which is helping to solve the affordability housing issue across the country. And that's a rent by the room model where we, under one roof, we'll have anywhere from 7 to 9 rooms with shared bathroom facilities and shared kitchen facilities for people. And it really helps. It helps the people that aren't able to qualify for a loan or even go out and afford a full-fledged apartment for themselves or for their family, and they can just come and have a clean, warm, good environment to stay in as they're building themselves up and
Mhm.
working their jobs and doing what they do. And so we really think that's the future. It feels like to me, Sean, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but when Airbnb was getting rolling for the first 5 to 7 years, and some people loved it. Some people thought it was ridiculous. Some
Yeah.
cities were like, "What? No way! We hate this. We're not doing this." But it grew because it serves a need, and I feel like that model is doing the same thing. And there's some cities that are like really against it, and there's some that are really open to it. So you got to be careful where you're at or where you're investing, which obviously we do all that vetting. But it's exciting because look what happened with Airbnb 15, 20 years later. It's like a household name, it's everywhere in the world. And I think this is also going to be the same kind of situation because if you look across central banks across the globe, they're all in a very similar situation,
Mhm.
devaluing their currencies. Inflation is growing, it's not slowing down. There hasn't been a really strong economic plan that from anybody, both sides of the coin, that's like, here's how we're going to decrease the debt. Here's how we're going to bring the value back up. So it's like I can see this affordability issue getting worse is basically what I'm saying. And so
Mhm.
I think this is really going to serve a need for a lot of people.
Is there a minimum amount that I can? What if you mentioned 300,000, but what if I only have? I work part-time doctor, and I only have extra 30,000, and I just want to try out this thing that Carl's doing, this co-living stuff. Could I come in with 30, 40, 50,000?
Yeah, yep. We're taking on private money lenders for varying amounts. It's kind of deal by deal, right? So we'll put everyone together and package it up so the returns are clear. Yep. And so I think just starting with the conversation, and again, like me getting to know all of their needs, like what do they want to get out of it? What are they looking for? Let's fill that need based on the different things we have going on,
Mhm.
co-living being one one of them, but if they want higher returns, shorter timeline, we can look at fix and flips that we're running. We can look at longer multifamily holds. So we have a lot of different ways we can deploy capital depending on the returns and the risk profiles of the investors. Yeah. Or of these like successful entrepreneurs or professionals that like, you know what? I just don't want to plug my money away into the stock market, right? I
Right.
want it to work. I want to actually help people. I can't see that helping. Like I can put in the stock market index fund. I can't see the tangible benefits of that money and how it's helping people. I invest in this property with these other people. I can see people getting housing from my income and I'm getting rewarded for that, solving that problem, which I think is very cool, which is what I love about real estate. It's a hard asset that you can visit, that you can see, right?
Mhm. For those who are listening, is there a book that affected you more than any, or that you would like to recommend to the other owners club or anyone else that's listening?
Sean, I have the best book recommendation for you. And
Oh, I want to hear it. Go ahead. Look, I'm ready, listening.
so have you heard of, you probably have heard of the author, but his name's Napoleon Hill. I'm sure you've heard of him.
I have.
Okay, but
Think
everyone
and
thinks
Grow
that,
Rich, right?
yep, Think and Grow Rich, right? There's a few other ones. 3 feet from Gold is another one. And but there was one that the story goes, it was a manuscript that was in his attic and didn't get discovered till after his death. And then they discovered it, and then it was almost hidden because they thought the topics in the book were so powerful it would like create waves.
Maybe disruptive.
Yes, very much
Wow.
so. And so it finally got published. And so I think this the origin story is amazing, but it's called Outwitting the Devil. And
I
what
have
that
not heard of it, that book. Yeah.
you got to check it out. So here's there's a lot of takeaways in it, but here was mine. So if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix,
Hmm.
how we live, how Neo, right, lives in this world that feels and looks and smells real, but it's not. The reality that we live in is kind of been manufactured by other people, and the belief systems we have been implanted in us by other people. For example, I was thinking about this right before our podcast. I was like, when did I get sold that eating food and eating a lot of unhealthy food is a way to celebrate someone's birthday, right? Like, let's go get the most, like a birthday cake. Yes, or this is super prevalent for, I think, pretty much everyone, but like, when did we get sold that watching TV shows and movies was a way to relax? Like, why don't we go outside, ground, and meditate to recharge? And then we're 100% recharged in 30 minutes instead of mind-numbingly being in a hypnotic rhythm for 3 hours. And then we come out of it not feeling any
Yeah.
better.
3 hours would be minimum for most people. Some people, I would say. But
Right.
I think I do have an answer for that, about why do we watch TV?
Let me hear it.
All right. I don't know if this is right or not, but the greatest generation, radio became a thing that people gathered around at night, families, the fireside chat of Roosevelt and others. So for some reason, this little box became where the family got together to hear what's going on in the world, right? The outside world, come to my world. I'm living in Grand Rapids, Minnesota or Michigan in the 1960s and 70s. Well, when the radio came out, it was earlier than that. But that's how we decided that this box is where all family comes together. And that just kind of carried away to television, I think.
Yeah.
And now with streaming, it seems like there's more hooks in us, and everybody just attached to this box, uh, which I think we've kind of lost the art of just talking to our family members.
Yeah, and now it's transmuted into these, right? Now
Yeah.
it's a small box, but now people are literally glued like this. And so I think you're exactly right, actually. And all that to say, outwitting the devil, there's a term, there's a thing in there he calls hypnotic rhythm, where we get hypnotized,
Love it. Yeah.
we get put in a rhythm, and we are just subconsciously doing this hypnotic rhythm over and over and over again, not really thinking about what are we doing. And so, as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, one of my um, number one priorities has been breaking my hypnotic rhythm in all the different areas of life, which is quite challenging, to be honest. Like lots and lots and lots of coaching and events and trauma and therapy and all the things, right? Of like
Hmm.
breaking hypnotic rhythm, creating new belief systems, creating new patterns in your life that are actually going to get you to where you say you want to go. And so the book is about that, is about what that is, how you break them. It's unbelievable. And so
I am definitely going to check that out. I have a little book recommendation I want you to check out because you mentioned about debt and reducing. Ray Dalio, it's called the How Countries Go Broke. It's a very encouraging, uplifting, fun book to read.
I get that.
But yeah, the sad story. Yeah, that was the sarcasm part. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check out that book. I was listening to this. Was driving to work or driving to school for about 40 minutes, and then you get there at work and you go, "Wow, I don't even remember anything. My mind was somewhere else while I'm driving." Right? You're just hypnotic. Your brain just dismisses everything because everything's automatic, and just part of our brain just trying to reduce the number of bits that are going through our mind. We just get hypnotic, and we do things for 45 minutes, 4 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years doing the same thing.
Yep.
What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So I was thinking about it, and I wanted to try and extract as much value as possible for your audience, from your next guest. And my question is, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned on your life journey so far that has had the biggest impact on your professional/real estate career? And please give examples.
That's a great question. That's a big question.
A big one, I know.
Yeah. They're not going to appreciate you asking them that question. The
I'm
next
gonna get
person.
some angry texts
Amy
later.
and Karl, yeah. Amy's got a really easy one. What would you tell the younger Karl that had brothers and, living at home with your father and mother?
I would have told, if I would have like sum it down, I would say, and if I could just say it, he would believe it. I'd say, you're not broken. You're everything you need and more. And that would have saved me years of trying to figure out why I felt like I was not enough. You're not broken. You're exactly the way you should be, and you have everything you need to do anything you could ever dream of, period. Which is hard to wrap your head around, especially just in general, right? We all feel like we need to get fixed. We're not broken. It's just it's taking care of the space between your ears, right? It's neuroplasticity, right? It's fungible. You can change it. You can modify it. You just have to go to work up here, and that's the hardest work to do. So we have all these things we do that distract us. Watch TV, drink alcohol, do all the things, whatever, to distract us from doing the heavy lifting. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Well, my friend Karl, I don't think there's anything better. Let's just end it that you're not broken. Huh? I love it. Thank you for your time, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it.
Have a wonderful day.